What up, everybody? What's going on? This is Bo Phillips of Bar Talk TV in the building.
D Breezy in the building.
What's up,
Hey.
everybody? Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We got a really special guest tonight. I'm very excited for our next guest coming up. Yo, Jacob Romo's in the house. Yeah, Jacob's coming back from his time off pretty soon. Everybody, we're filling for Jacob tonight. He's in the building with us too, but we're just gonna be running the show. Alrighty, everybody. So tonight's special guest, we got Angel Fraijo that's going to be coming on the show right about now. You guys go ahead, give it up for Angel Fraijo. Come on down.
Thank you. What's up, man?
Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Man.
What's up, D?
Hey, what's up?
All right, cool, man.
You want me to move this mic here a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. However you want
There
to.
we go.
And then bartender said you can hear us too. Angel, would you like another drink, brother?
Yeah. I'll take another mix,
Awesome,
man.
cool. Yeah, we've had Angel here. Just we've been.
I don't know.
Is it a good adjustment?
Can
You
y'all
can
hear
always
me?
scoot it up.
Just-
Absolutely.
Just put it however you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
You can scoot it up.
Or you can. Just,
Nah, it's good. It's fine.
If you want.
Yeah, I think
right on your face.
I don't want it to be weird. I just met this mic. You know?
Right, yeah, you're like, buy me a drink first, Mike.
Yeah, right. Getting all close over here.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, if you guys got any
Up close and
questions
personal.
while we're going down too, we're gonna have some questions over here. Also, just our standard bar talk procedure. But Angel, go ahead and tell us something about yourself, man.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, happy to be here, man. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long time coming.
It's been a couple attempts already, and
Yeah.
things happen, but
Appreciate you.
no, man,
Being so
I'm
patient.
glad to be here. And first of all, I've known Dee for a while, and
Whoop, whoop.
yeah, we've been friends for a minute.
I got you on the show, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
much.
I did.
She
that.
pretty much talked me into it,
Yeah.
and
I pulled him by the ear, guys. He didn't want to. I
it's
was
all.
like, you
It's awesome. I love.
better.
I love doing these podcasts though.
Thank you.
I love kind of doing this stuff because I had for a short while there. I was actually running for office, right?
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
was actually running for state legislator and learned a lot of things in that process, which are interesting but probably unsurprising to a lot of people out there.
Right.
But the cool thing about these kind of podcasts, though, because I kind of do the stuff on my YouTube channel as well,
Awesome.
is that you get to meet a lot of interesting people and have a lot of interesting conversations.
Yeah.
So I actually had a guy on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and YouTube blocked the video.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we were talking about some controversial subjects, but this guy, you guys can look him up. His name is Leo Zagami,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
and he actually grew up in the Vatican. From
Wow.
Rome, and he's part of an aristocratic family that's close to the papacy there, which is part of a group that I guess people would commonly refer to as the Illuminati.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was an incredibly intriguing conversation. I actually followed this guy's work for like 10 years.
Okay.
And then he fled Rome 3 years ago, came to the US. I found out he was going to be in Arizona, and I straight up reached out to him on social media like, hey, bro, I've been following your work for 10 years. I want to meet you in person. What's
Yeah.
up? And he was totally cool. He's like, yeah, come on down. So
That's what's up.
yeah,
That's
I got to meet him 3 years ago. We became friends ever since then. And yeah, we've interviewed each other a few times already. So
That's awesome, man. I love seeing, especially when it comes out to Tucson, the locals getting to work with each other a lot more. Support your locals, absolutely, guys.
100%.
Community oriented type of vibe that we give out here to Tucson too, and it's pretty well collected, I would say too. But yeah, definitely. Well, as far as YouTube channel goes, what's the name of your YouTube channel? That way, all of our different viewers can subscribe to your channel.
Sure, I'm just rebranding it right now. So it is Gold Pill Patriot.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Gold Pill.
it's not the red pill or the blue
Or the
pill no
blue.
more. It's
Nah.
the gold.
Well, the blue pill you don't want it, trust me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the red pill's not strong enough. Everyone's red pilled now. So
Right,
obviously
yeah.
there has to be
The
that
woke
next level.
community.
We gotta be
Right.
different. We gotta stand out. We
Yeah.
gotta become more powerful, and
I actually have a little bit of a story behind that.
Okay.
Hopefully
tell us
soon.
about it.
Hopefully soon I'm going to be interviewing the writer of The Matrix.
wow.
I know some people that know him. They reached out to him on my behalf, and
It's
hopefully,
the original person before the Wachowskis.
yeah, the Wachowskis brothers bought the story from this guy.
I remember. Yeah,
Right.
he ended up suing him. Correct.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a little bit of an issue there, but
Yeah.
the original writer of it is someone that I've been trying to get on my YouTube podcast. So hopefully soon that'll happen.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'll tell you what, man, I came up with the idea because I was originally on my Instagram page. I went by Red Pill Patriot.
Okay.
And
I remember that.
yeah, it was a while back, right? OG status there, if anyone remembers me from there. But yeah, so I kind of started realizing there was so many people that were following me they just believe in these crazy conspiracy theories. And I love conspiracy theories, but my problem with the conspiracy theory community is that they're ready to push them before they verify them.
Right.
I'm cool about diving into subjects, and I'm cool about talking about stuff. You guys will hear me on my Instagram page. I get into all of this stuff, right? I mean, obviously, I'm like interviewing members of the Illuminati and stuff, so it's real shit to me, bro. But the thing with me is that I don't like when other people just hear something and repeat it like they know it's a fact.
Just regurgitating the information.
Sure.
Exactly.
And then they're like, "Oh, I'm red pilled and I'm awake and I know what's going." I'm like, "No, you're doing the exact same thing."
Generic new age woke community,
it's
right?
Woke. It's wokeness, man. Bro. Yeah, so it's woke. Doesn't matter your political party or leanings or whatever. There's just wokeness all over the place. It's tragic. So I try to get people to think a little more critically about stuff. You can dive deep. You can verify some information. Let's talk about the real stuff that's verified. And that's the more interesting conversation to me.
Yeah. But
I had so many people that were attacking me, thinking I was some kind of a government shill. I said, you know what? I don't even want to be part of the red pill community no more. There's got to be something more. I'm ready to go to that next level. So I came up with the gold pill. And I didn't realize that there's people already using this term out there, which is really awesome. And it's a little grab bag, a little mixed bag of people out there, but there's not like one solidified community out there yet.
Yeah,
I'm bringing the brand out, so we'll see what happens. But
we're patenting it right in here,
right here, right. Yeah, you guys heard it first. But yeah, I mean, I realized that these people who were willing to attack me because I didn't go along, and they were buying into all this BS that they're being fed through all these channels. I said, it reminded me of that scene in The Matrix where that one twerp, that sign that he betrays everybody. Morpheus.
You're talking about Cyrus.
Yeah. So he's inside the Matrix with one of the agents, right? And they're at that restaurant, and he cuts a piece of meat and he holds it up. He says, I know it's fake, but it tastes so good. And I realize there's people out there that they know that they're regurgitating stuff that they're not verified, that's fake. They'll betray their own people. They'll attack you for not thinking like them. You're not as woke as they are. Yep. And I said, you know what? That dude was red pilled. Everyone on that ship was red pilled, but that dude was red pilled, but it wasn't enough. But you look at Neo, he was red pilled too, but he took it farther. He took it to the next step. And for me, it's a matter of faith at this point because Neo couldn't believe what was happening. Right. He definitely didn't believe what Morpheus believed about him, but he acted as if it was so. And eventually he ended up becoming the one, right? So fulfilling, whether it was a self-fulfilled prophecy or whatever, that's up to you to decide. But point is there's something beyond the red pill.
Exactly.
I'm looking for it. I can't say I know for sure what it is. So I just came up with this name in the meantime.
Well, I'd say like in resemblance to already what you're saying with kind of just like this specific type of metaphor, right? In Matrix. So I know that movie very well. I studied that movie a lot in the Wachowskis and the person that wrote it before. That's how I knew kind of what you were talking about. So I guess in more of like just to compliment what you're saying, in that resemblance, it'd be the gold pill would be like the research that Neo ended up doing.
Yeah.
Because he ended up getting the keymaker involved and then got behind all those secret doors inside of the Matrix, etc. When he met up to the architect, and then the architect explained that there had been like 5 other predecessors of him too. Yes. That would be the gold pill moment for Neo, correct? Right?
Yeah, it's precisely. And, there's a lot of interesting parameters there with that story and a lot of symbology they use. Yeah. The name of the architect that is actually paralleled with other secret societies and esotericism. So I know that if anyone studies anything about like Freemasonry, they do often refer to God as the architect of the universe, right? So in a way, it's almost as if that movie is parallel to a belief that a lot of us have already been kind of entertaining, which is that we live in a 3-dimensional holographic matrix already.
Yeah.
So have you ever heard the term simulation theory?
Yep, absolutely. So that's super string theory, technically, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's I guess you could call it a faction of quantum science.
Exactly,
quantum physics.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think like one of the original people we were talking about in the lobby before you came on the show is Philip K. Dick. He was kind of theorizing superstring theory back in the 70s when he was writing all his books, because he was always getting all these different, dreams and everything, et cetera, et cetera. If those of you who don't know, Philip K. Dick, he was the guy that wrote all the novels like Flow My Tears, The Policeman Said. I wrote that novel. Fucking brilliant work right there. Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. More familiar ones too. I'm just a huge Philip K. Dick fan, so I'm kind of going on more of the lesser known novels of his. But the movie adaptations that have been made out of more Philip K. Dick novels that are more well known is like Blade Runner, right? For example,
yeah, yeah.
and then also Scanner Darkly was another one. That was another one where that was
a trip. That movie was a trip.
Robert Downey Jr. was in that, and then also Keanu Reeves was in that. Winona Ryder back in the day. So those are like other Philip K. Dick. Now Philip K. Dick has written a lot of the different novel adaptations that have made into like really huge movies at the turn of the 21st century. Yeah, Minority Report was another Philip K. Dick movie. Yeah,
one of something that's crazy to me, bro, that I thought about. A lot of this stuff is things that people had dreamed about, or just it was part of their imagination.
Yeah,
and then later on ends up becoming in some way somewhat confirmed through science. Yeah, and I feel that it's maybe it's some kind of indication that our consciousness is either projecting reality, or like Nikola Tesla said, that all of us are somehow connected to something at the core of reality, that all inspiration is drawn from, and that we don't know what that core is or what it is. We just know it exists, and it's influencing us and putting messages inside of our imagination, and it's manifesting now. We think about, like your kids could be like, I had this dream and this. You ever heard like your kids say something crazy? Then the more you think about it, you're like, it might be real.
Yeah. This isn't so far-fetched, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It might not be so crazy after all.
That's funny that you say that. I'm another fan of Nikola Tesla as well. It's cool. We have a lot of different things in common, brother. So like one of my, the most famous probably Nikola Tesla quote that I abide by too in life is, if you want to understand the fabrics of the cosmos and the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and energy, frequency, 100%. And vibration. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And I always bring that back to because even in the Bible it talks about God creating everything, like speaking it into existence. So it's talking about like spoken word. When you talk, all I'm doing is creating vibrations in the air. And when your eardrum vibrates at that same frequency, it translates what I'm saying to your brain. So the spoken word is a frequency. So everything in the universe is vibrating at a specific frequency, and I believe that is ultimately the revelation of the Word of God.
The earth is a ringing bell.
That's
another quote by Nikola Tesla.
Let's go, man. Yeah, he's a Tesla fan here. Yeah, so, you want to know something crazy, man? When I was a kid, I was a huge fan of Albert Einstein.
Yeah,
mainstream wise, he was the smartest man in the world. But when somebody once asked him while he was still alive, they said, how does it feel to be the smartest man alive? His response is, I don't know. You have to ask Nikola Tesla, he said.
Absolutely. No, the cool thing is they could all complement each other so well, man. Just with Einstein being one of the most credible physicists of all time, and just honestly, it's like a quote that I kind of came up with. It's not like it's because people say all the time, and it's such like a cliche thing that's thrown around in society nowadays. Like, it's not about like what you know, it's who you know. Yeah, not necessarily. It's not like what you know, who you know, it's who you hear from. And that's my quote. So for example, I'll even bring this up now that you brought up Albert Einstein. Let's say you're about to like walk into a bank, right? And you're about to open the door, but you notice there's a homeless guy sitting right outside that front door, cross-legged. And you open the door, and as soon as you do, he like reaches his arm out and pulls on your tail. Like he's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, imagination is more important than knowledge. Now, when you hear that from like a homeless dude, what's your first reaction going to be like? I want what he's smoking right there. Like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, what the hell is that? But do a lot of people know that's actually a quote by Albert Einstein right there. Imagination is more important than knowledge. So when you hear it from one of the most credible physicists of all time instead of a homeless guy, then you start thinking about it a little bit more. Like, okay.
Well,
that makes a lot more sense. So it's not who you know, it's who you hear it from.
Listen, man, you bring up an incredibly valid point with that, what you just said right now, okay, the way you framed that. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm somebody who listens intently to people. I'm just interested in people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care if it's a kid talking to me or a drunk dude or a homeless guy or, the most prestige. We in the Western society tend to tag a label of prestige on our scientists and on people who are a lot of money and stuff.
The most like revered in their studies.
Right. It's people with status, social status, right? Ultimately, but if you break away from that way of thinking, you really have an opportunity to draw inspiration from just about anything, anywhere, anytime.
Open-mindedness,
And that's why I've been incredibly interested in just about anyone I meet. Like I have conversations with people on the bus, and it doesn't matter who they are. Listen, man, I know celebrities, I know politicians, I've met some people pretty high status. I treat them all exactly the same as I would the homeless guy on the bus who just said something incredibly insightful. Right. And I listen all the time to people around me. I was standing in line at Office Depot a couple weeks back. there was some girl there with her mom, and she said something like, I think that they invented movies to keep people scared from traveling, or keep people from traveling, something like that, along the lines.
Yeah.
And I didn't, at first I just heard it and I was like, wait a minute, what did you do? I stopped her. I said, excuse me, could you say that again? She said, yeah, I think they invented movies to keep people scared from traveling or something like that. I was like, I thought about it. I was like, that's pretty insightful, and the more I thought
I've never
about
heard
it.
that. I've never heard that
Honestly,
before
Yeah.
either.
I thought that too.
It's
Like,
kind of, because they kind of show you the perception of the world they want you to have. I mean, we
Yeah,
get so much of our perception of the world from screens, we don't realize it. We live in a matrix already, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something, man. If you can open up your mind to allow yourself to be inspired from just about anything, you grow so much more from that. I once heard a monk say, the student learns from the master, but the master learns from everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I like that.
So that you
It's
just
the road to
when you
become
said that about the
master.
homeless guy, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I don't really think like that either. Like, I'm not going to like discredit him just because he's like a homeless guy that looks all raggedy sitting on the street. But I know the majority of people do, especially when it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So like, oh, so now I got to have my way into this like high class, like whatever, like the elite class
It's
is,
a
like make
dangerous
my
way
way
of
into
thinking,
it.
isn't
Yeah.
it? It's a dangerous,
And it's more
trap we
common than
fall
not
into.
is the problem.
Well,
what?
It's more common than not to have that kind of mindset.
Oh,
yeah, it's rare to have a mindset where status doesn't affect what you think of people.
I see that, it's who you know, that saying. I see that more when it comes to like jobs, or like, like for example, like in this kind of
And
environment,
entertainment and stuff.
I hear that a lot.
Well, I mean, let's be real. It's never hurts to be connected.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I know,
yes.
of course, it's, what you said.
For sure.
But like, it can definitely be that it's your, what did you say? What was I saying again?
It's not
No,
about what you
it's
know.
who
It's
you
not
hear it
about who
from.
you know, but who you hear it
Who
from.
you hear it
Exactly.
from, yeah.
That's what really kind of like gives you along the lines of like a paradigm shift, right? Because a paradigm shift by definition is like you can see like the world through like a different lens now, right? So like that usually takes some type of like specific inspiration. It's usually like a conversation that you're having where all of a sudden you're having like this big like mind-blowing epiphany about it, and you're like, oh wow, like I can't go back to looking at the world the same after
Sometimes,
this.
sometimes it could be something more than that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have something that your paradigm shifts so hard you feel like every bone in your body's been broken.
Yeah, and
I've
sometimes
had
it's just
a
an
couple
experience
experiences like that. Yeah.
where there's no words spoken. It could be like you got in a car accident but came out with like a scratch on your body, and you're like, wow, there's my epiphany right
Miracles happen every day, bro.
there. Yep, absolutely.
Do you want to tell us about a story, because I see your face like I know
Yeah.
there's some interesting
All right.
stories.
Yeah.
If you
No,
want to
on-
give an example,
Can I
that'd be-
just give a quick shout out to Drea, the CEO Daniela, and they couldn't be here with us today, but
yeah, everybody that's
shout out to them.
part of the Bar Talk team, absolutely,
They
absolutely,
family.
guys.
That's
Okay,
Well,
what's up.
let's go. I'm
let's
actually
get
going to
back
get into
into
a couple of questions too. Let's start off like, where are you from, actually, by the way, brother?
Oh yeah, so
yeah.
I'm born and raised right here in Tucson, man.
Awesome.
I've lived here most of my life. For a number of years, I lived in Phoenix and also in Texas, and I've traveled a little bit, but mostly been here in Tucson, man.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, it's glad to have the natives on the show, especially because it's like it's few and far between sometimes in Tucson. I've met a lot of natives, obviously too. I'm not a native. I've been out here for like 23 years now,
Yeah.
but that's
You're
cool.
native now.
I can consider
I
myself.
think once you've been here
man.
7 years, it's hard to get
Right.
back. It's hard to go anywhere else. You get sucked back in.
Because every 7 years, it's like all of our molecules change, right?
Yeah,
We're technically
exactly.
like
We're on a whole
biologically
nother level right
different,
now,
yeah.
bro.
You're
They're not ready.
Tucson
They're
now.
not ready yet.
And then so you grew up here in Tucson, and when did you become interested in kind of what you're really I guess just like drawn by in your life as your passion, your purpose, like politics, etc. What's your inspiration?
I've always been deeply, infinitely curious about things ever since I was as far back as I can remember.
Mhm.
I've always been interested in knowing how things work. I've always been interested in influence and psychology. I mean, even before I knew what these terms meant,
Right.
I was trying to figure it out as a kid. And I think that to some degree, we all kind of are, right? Like kids are infinitely curious. And I think at some point, the world kind of crushes that out of us, and
Yeah.
we become very rigid and
I
just
think
follow
it's done on
society
purpose.
rules. I mean, that's a whole other
It's
conversation.
the whole like
Yeah.
instead
I
of being a
agree.
critical thinker, just an obedient worker. Right?
Correct. Yeah, you go from thinking critically, being imaginative, to kind of like, oh, well, this is we put a lot of trust, and this goes right back to what you were saying about status and the elites and stuff. So as a child, I think I've seen it happen to me and a lot of people that you kind of start questioning. Like, why even question things? Because these adults in our life, they are older than us. They know how the world works, and they're telling us how it is. Then you get older and start realizing that now everybody's just kind of making the shit up as they go along.
Exactly.
They think they know, and they're just trying to put their beliefs and perspectives on you. Even your parents, God bless them. I love my mom, but her and everyone else who was an adult when I was a kid, I realized as I got older, I was like, nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody can agree on reality, and you just have to really trust your own
individuality.
Judgment. You got to be your own person. So there was a point in my life where I felt like I was getting crushed out of that, but I never stopped thinking. I never stopped questioning. So now it's led me to this path now where it's just kind of been my driving force in everything that I do. Politics, science, entertainment, anything that I'm fully vested in and wanting to research, I just approach it with a childlike curiosity.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Well, speaking of that too, just your childlike curiosity. So like growing up and like graduating from those stages of adolescence, though, let's go back to something that you originally stated on the show when you ran for office.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that. Why did you, like, not only did you run for office, but like, how was that experience for you also out here in Tucson?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, first of all, I was running as a Republican in a deep Democrat district, which was probably a no-go from the get. It was destined to be a fail from the beginning, but it's not so much because of partisan. I wouldn't say voters are very partisan. I would say that the politicians are more partisan than voters, because ultimately I still get along with all my Democrat friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
But most of them. I mean, a couple people, they flip out or they block you. My cousin blocked me on Instagram. Stop talking to me. Yeah, because I'm pro-life and they're pro-choice. So it's there's some deep-seated division and stuff. But for the most part, I felt that wasn't the biggest problem, actually. The biggest problem to me when I was trying to run, and it's partially my fault because I jumped in late in the race, so you got to be able to have time to get signatures. It costs money and time. You got to have support. You got to go to. So I was going to events and I was doing speeches and I had some support, but it just wasn't enough in this district, and I didn't have enough time to get the help I needed. If I had money, I could have hired someone to get signatures for me. It would have been fine. So it is kind of unfortunately a game that you got to.
Again?
Yeah.
Well, when you do, hit me up. I'll get signatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely, brother. We'll do some campaigns for you on the show.
Can I just give a shout out real quick?
Sure. Yeah.
Listen, I got you any day, but I'll tell you right now, listen, there is a guy still running in this district, this congressional district, running as a Republican. His name is Luis Pozzolo. Yeah. And Luis is an incredible man. I'm going to tell you right now, he came here from Uruguay. His father was actually the president of Uruguay. Oh. He still has a lot of scars from his childhood. He hates career politicians. He resented his father for doing that line of work. Oh, wow. But after living here in America for 20 years and working his way up the corporate ladder, becoming a Microsoft data analyst, and eventually owning a bunch of companies and being a very successful, rich entrepreneur. Yeah. He has no desire to be a career politician, but he sees what's happening to the community. He sees how bad the situation is at the border. Mm-hmm. He sees crime, homelessness is rising, opportunities disappearing. And he said he has to do something because no one else is willing to step up. Yeah. He's not a partisan person. He told me 6 months ago, if he could go back in time 6 months ago and register independent, not run as a Republican, he would. Mm-hmm. But it's a two-party game. Yeah, exactly. So, but his ideals are. This guy is just amazing. If you guys get a chance to check him out, he's on Instagram.
Luis Pozzolo, shout outs, absolutely.
Luis for Congress. He was. So if I had gotten enough signatures to get on the ballot, I would have been the state legislator if I had won the election for this legislative district. But that legislative district would have been a smaller district inside the larger congressional district that he's running for. Okay. So he would have been representing the state of Arizona in National Congress, and I would have been representing the state of Arizona and writing laws and legislation for the state itself. So we would have been definitely working together. So I did get a chance to know him. I'm helping him on his campaign. And yeah, the dude's incredible. You guys got to check him out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Beautiful.
That's how we make a difference, y'all. That's, by supporting
just getting involved,
people.
A lot of people don't know, especially people that aren't registered voters. They're just like, oh, well, like, the electoral college is going to decide for us anyway. I'm like, but that's a good thing. People that don't know much about politics will think about that, right? But I'm like, no, like if the electoral college actually didn't like make more of the like deciding rights too, it'd be like, what states would actually like have the most like voting power. Then it'd be the states.
Sure.
It'd be like majority rules at that point, right? So like for example,
So
if there was no
Texas,
electoral college, it'd be Texas and California.
and
So
New
you-
York
you know.
making all the decisions.
You
for it.
know exactly.
And I'll tell you, saying the electoral college is good or bad is just a subjective statement.
exactly.
But
There's
I
no
will
like
say,
objective, concrete evidence behind
right.
it.
What I will say this though is for people who don't know how it works, the way you just described it is perfect. That we don't have a rule of the mob, as the forefathers referred to it.
Yep.
Majoritarianism, and it's just another form of tyranny. Only instead of having one tyrant, king, or dictator, you have like a bunch of them. Have you ever seen that movie, The Patriot, with Mel Gibson?
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, there was a scene where they're trying to convince him to get involved in the revolution. He wouldn't do it.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, this guy is a tyrant. King George is a tyrant. He says, why would I exchange one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 1,000
another.
tyrants here at home?
Yeah.
And that hit me like a ton of bricks, bro, when I thought about, how corrupt our government is, how we have so many sold out congressmen and
Yeah.
senators and all that.
Think about this, man.
I mean, look, even the current administration, with Biden, no matter what you think of him as a person, which is a lot to be said there that I'm not going to say, but I mean, you're
I'll
talking
say
about but you're talking about the connections that he has specifically right now in the Ukraine. Like,
yeah.
he was the one who his son was playing politics under his daddy's name. Nobody has to act like it didn't happen. He did not get it. They didn't put a crackhead on the board of Burisma because he was, his intellectual prowess.
Right.
Like it was, they wanted connections with his dad. So you talk about, the amount of corruption that is from the top to the bottom, all the way from the president, all the way down to this legislative district that I was running in right now, where one of my good friends and business partners, I'm not going to put his information out there right now,
Mhm.
but he ran in this district as well, and he got sued by the Democrats. He's not even a Republican, yo.
Mhm.
Not even a Republican. He's nonpartisan, and he got sued by the Democrats to have the Republican signatures removed from his ballot, from his petition. Now, technically, the rules say he either could have independents, Republicans, and Democrats sign, or just one or the other,
Strictly
just
one party.
just independent, or just libertarian, or just whatever. But why did they just go after the Republican? They could have said the Republican and Democrat. They didn't. They said just Republican. Well, it turns out if someone looked at his petitions, went through them, and counted all the signatures, if they got rid of just Republicans, he would have been 4 signatures short
Oh wow.
of being on the ballot. So somebody knew that, somebody did it, and a judge made that call.
Somebody was able to calculate.
Right.
At some point.
But I'll tell you right now, on the opposite side of that spectrum, my boy Luis, who I was just talking about, he was running on the Republican ticket, and he got primaried. First, he got all his signatures in days before the deadline. He had to go and submit them at the Secretary of State's office. He did that, and within days, all of a sudden, there was another Republican candidate out of nowhere.
Oh,
So he wouldn't have ran a primary race if he won, he got on the ballot, and it was going to be him against Raul Grijalva, the Democrat contender, right?
Oh.
gotcha. Yeah.
So he would have ran against him, and there would have been a general election in November. But what happened was he got primaried in a couple of days from the time he submitted all his signatures to the deadline.
Wow.
This woman came in out of nowhere,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden she had over 2,600 signatures and $3.5 million in donations. How the hell does that
Yeah.
happen? Well, I'm going to tell
That's
you
a
guys.
buy-off, man.
I'm going to tell you something right now that we're going to put this out here right now, that these people are going to hear, that you guys got exclusive right here, okay?
information, guys.
This woman, we asked for a sample of her signatures. Luis brought me 3 petitions. All 3 of them, bro, were fake.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
I'm not talking about 1 signature, 2 signatures, 1 or 2 pages. 100% of them were all in the same handwriting.
Yeah.
So you look at the back, somebody is supposed to sign the back saying, I'm the person who's a voter registered in this county who
Right,
collected
right.
these signatures, and they sign it. There's 3 names on the back of them, bro. There was her name, and there's 2 others. The first dude, we looked into him. He had a stroke 2 years ago. He's living in a nursing home. The second guy is dead 10 years ago.
Could have no way they could have
No,
like
so
they're
a de-
registered
so-
voters, but there's
So
no
a
way they
dead,
could
so a
have.
dead guy and a dude who can't talk right now collected all these signatures for her.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Somehow like was part of a ballot
Now
too, right?
it gets even better, bro. Where did the money come from? Now all the signatures were fake. Okay, but where did the money come from? $3.5 million donations. I'm talking about in 5 days.
Yeah.
So people don't know this, but you can go and look up on the Federal Exchange Commission site the transactions for campaign donations. So you can see who she's donated to. You can see who I've donated to. You can see who's donated to her. You can see who's donated to me or any other candidate. And if you take a look at it, bro, she's received the maximum legal amount donation from tons of people. Maxed out on tons of them. And then you look at the names, and it's like Jeffrey Epstein's ghost.
Oh man.
U.S. Congressman Seymour Butts. I'm not making this up. I have the in my pocket right now on my phone. I have the documents. I can show you. PDF Anyone can log in and see it. Though this is money laundering.
Yeah.
Now, what's worse though is that they took her to court. They took her to court. The judge looks at all this information, and guess what he said?
He was like, "Eh."
So it looks like you got a primary to fight, boy.
Right.
That's what they told my friend. They're like, "Yep, everything looks legit. She's running. She's in the race. You got to win the primary, and if you want to be the contender."
It's a lot of power to overthrow. Basically, is what the judge said without saying it.
Now, what I'm talking about is this is on a local level. You guys can imagine how corrupt Washington D.C. is.
Yeah, when you get to like this, state and federal.
So when you got people right now talking about there was no fraud in the last election, bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. I wasn't born yesterday. Yeah. It's everywhere. It's in our school boards. It's in our county supervisors, our city council, and the police departments. All of it.
I mean, even regular people do.
Come on, you stolen something when no one's looking. Yeah,
we're all a bunch of criminals.
I mean, if you think 100% you can get away with it, it's tempting. It's at least you're at least tempted. I mean, I know that now as the person that I am now, I don't want to do that. I drove around for 4 days trying to hunt a dude down and give his wallet back to him because it had cash in it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I do that. But when I was a kid, if I thought I could get away with it, bro, I did some foul stuff. It's a whole different story. Yeah, these people in office, they're no different. They're human beings like the rest of us.
And bartenders, if you can hear us out there, if we can get we need another round of drinks for this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need a blunt.
Right. Need a lot. Yeah.
Light it up. Oh.
Jake, our boss said no drugs, but hey, weed isn't a drug, right?
Weed is not a
plant.
drug.
It's a plant. It's a herb. It's a herb.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Legalize full decriminalization, deregulation.
I'm gonna go down to just one more question.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So, was your family supportive of your decisions of going into politics or anything?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. My family have all mostly the ones who do vote. Mm-hmm. Have all mostly voted Democrat their whole life.
Yeah.
I never voted. When I went to run and I was registered as a Republican, and I explained why, by this time, most of my family had already been kind of softened up by but most of them had already been kind of softened up because of Donald Trump. And my mom, because I was really
2 beers and then another Michelada.
Yeah, or just regular beer, fine too. Thank you.
That's a bartender, y'all.
That was my fiance Moki Hana. She's our chief operations officer actually for Bar Talk TV.
Yeah, I like having a bartender come into the studio.
Right.
Bar Talk.
I feel like I'm on Joe Rogan Experience, bro.
Right.
Maybe we should do some DMT, bro, and get deeply.
I know, right? Yeah. Let's do some dimethyltryptamine and everybody and start tripping.
I would like to do that, but let's not talk about politics because that's a big can of worms. We can't.
I'll be honest. If I took some DMT, I could only imagine the shit. There's something. Listen, I just said a whole lot a minute ago. For those who are just tuning in and missed it, I opened up a can of worms. I don't know what'll happen if I did not kill myself. #. Goldpill didn't kill himself, but
he did not have sexual relations with that woman either. If they start accusing him,
they're gonna do something. They can do
There's gonna be some kind of agenda for discreditment over here.
And it's true. No, this is a very common tactic, man. It's a dirty game, and they want to try to discredit you. But I'll tell you right now, man. There's things that beyond that I know that honestly I can't talk about. Yeah, so it's a real thing. But as far as like my family goes. No, they were all very supportive. Even my family, my aunt, who is a hardcore Democrat, lifelong. I mean, she's independent, but she votes Democrat only. Yeah. And she hated Trump. She believed some theory about him being like a Russian mafia member or some shit. Right. And she like nuts. So she was one of those people that like nuts about it, like Rachel Maddow nuts about it. Right. But even she knows like I am very focused and I don't make decisions just on the fly. Thank you so much. And so, she knows that I was thoughtful about it. She absolutely supported me. And
We'll get you a Michelada on your next trip.
That's fine. I just don't want to make her work too much. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think she knows how to make it. It's okay.
It's okay.
I'll make it.
Bring me the stuff. I'll make it right here real quick. You guys
Right?
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Don't worry about it. I'll drink a beer. I already had a couple micheladas, so
Cheers,
thank you.
I'll just
Absolutely.
move it myself.
Glad to have you on here, man.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to be here.
Well, that's good to hear, man. You know, I know that's kind of like the end of all questions, I think, too, with just family being supportive. It'll either make or
Sure.
break like the next amount of how much different effort or energy you're going to be putting towards your dreams.
Well, you know,
right? It's like-
my family is very close. We all have, I mean, trust me, we fight. We've had some incredibly rough times. I deal with a lot of stuff in my family. A lot of my family is very rigid, very stubborn. We fight with each other, but at the end of the day, like, you don't turn your back on family.
Well, that's what family does, you know. But that's
100%.
true,
Yeah, you got at the end of the day, you got to have some hill you're willing to die on. And for us, it was like, I'll hate you to the point where I wish death upon you, but no one else had better do that, or I'm going to kick their ass.
Right, yeah.
Like, I got your
Exactly.
Fuck them
back.
up real quick.
Yeah.
If anyone's going to be killed, my brother, it's going to be me.
It's gonna be me.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
on the next episode of 48 Hours.
Right? Yeah, like we
No face, no
we
case.
can get at each
Without your
other's
face.
throats, but at the end of the day, like, it's still family, bro.
But yeah, just the next question too, Angel. So your family being supportive, and then kind of, I guess, like, what's your process though too for, like, you know, getting into politics too? Do you speak at all? Also, do you do like
Sure.
public speaking, or do you just like strictly like do like campaigns with other different people that are running currently too? With you already said like the congressional legislative thing with your buddy Luis.
Both are important. Both are important. So if anyone's interested in running for politics, running for office, I'll tell you right now, one, do an intense amount of research. It's not that hard to get registered with the Secretary of State. It's not that hard to figure out the process. And there's other people who have ran before. Find other people that have ran before, because most people running, you're not going to win your first round.
Yeah.
Right. Your first time around, but you learn enough that you know how to run a campaign better the second time around. So most people will take 2 or 3 times before they get in office. So when you're running, it's important to link up with other people that are campaigning, especially if you have aligned values. So if you guys have a set of values that you're aligned on, even if it's not 100%, it's enough for you to be able to reach out.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Water, ice water, anything?
I'll take water now that you mention it. Thank you.
So essentially, you know, when you find other people whose values align with yours and they've ran before, there's so many people out there that are willing to help you out and explain stuff to you. And they want to create that. It's almost like if you're friends with somebody and you guys both realize you're getting accepted into the same college, right? Oh, cool. Because then you get there, you have someone you can team up with and you don't know anybody else and you can figure things out together. Going into like the state legislator or any legislative body, Congress, or going into the House or the Senate, either the House or the Senate or an assembly position, doesn't matter what it is. You want to make sure you can rely on other people who have a common goal as you. And I saw that a lot. I only ran for maybe, my campaign was only like 2 months before I realized I wasn't going to make the deadline with the signatures.
Right, yeah.
There's no way I was going to get on the ballot. And at that point, I could have ran as a write-in candidate, but I had to learn some things that made me realize that I probably wanted to go a different direction for now. If I run again, I might run again. I know better now, but I also have a lot more connections, and I've met people who were willing to help. So there's people out there willing to help. If you guys want to run, I would suggest to take just a lot of time to research the people that are already in your district. And if your values align with theirs, you can reach out to them. I got you.
Thank you, Mama.
And, if you guys' values align with theirs, you can reach out to them and you can find out what the process is and take some friendly advice. Don't be afraid to take some friendly advice and take some constructive criticism and adjust along the way.
Yeah,
you really do.
and not to be offended by disagreement, because a lot of people, you know, I've noticed that too. It's like almost like disagreement is offensive. It's like how is that like unless like I'm so egotistical to the point where like I have this like, you know, like superiority complex, or just like what I've also like delegated to describing it as too is like an unhealthy egoism, right? Like,
yes.
Unless you agree with me, like you're wrong. Like
Well, I mean,
How the hell is that even like a thing?
Well,
You know,
I mean, that's kind of, you just described my process. I'm kind of like that, but at the end of the day, you got to realize we disagree. That doesn't make us enemies. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
I can sit here and tell you you're wrong all day. We can have so many arguments about whatever. Be told, it's just like they said with my family. We'll be at each other's throats. We can be so far opposite apart, but at the end of the day, does that really make you an enemy of somebody? I don't feel that it does.
I guess it just depends on like the subject matter and the topic of conversation, right? Because you could be like debating like cold hard facts that's like concrete, like evidence, right? And it's
Well,
like,
some people don't respond to that.
and exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Most people are like, no, I'd rather have like my subjective, like tangible, like things that I would rather focus on. That's more like emotionally equipped for me
Yeah,
to
Right.
feel like comfortable with accepting this information versus like what the reality is. Like,
a lot of people go.
for example, I describe it as like sometimes like if you're in denial of it. Well, I guess like what would be like the words to describe that too? Like I guess for say,
Well, here, let me
that'd be like cognitive dissonance.
That's
right?
the word, yeah, cognitive dissonance. But here's the other side of that. So what you have is you have people that are either predominantly left brain or predominantly right brain.
Mhm.
What that means is the two different hemispheres of your brain, they act completely different. So if you're someone who's left brain dominant, you're going to be very much so leaning towards wanting facts, data, statistics, things of that nature appeal to you and help you make logic of your reasoning.
Right.
But people who are right brain dominant are more creative, intuitive, emotional. So they want more subjectivity and they can think in ways. Now, the key.
The mark of the artist over here.
Yeah, artists are all pretty much right brain dominant. But the key to that to understand is that in your body, the left brain controls the right side of the body, and the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. So if you look at the country and you look at the political spectrum as a body, right? The left side, they're right brain dominant.
Yeah.
They're ruled by emotions. The liberals, it's all about feeling good. Do what makes you feel good. Don't judge me for doing what makes me feel good. And then people who are oh, it's life. No, I'm just kidding. So you got the people on the right, conservatives who more like, oh, straight up facts over feelings, and we're owning the libs with facts and all this stuff, and it becomes very much a egotistical battle between the two sides. But you're never, if you're conservative, you're more left brain dominant, you're not going to win over someone from the other side with cold hard facts.
Right.
I don't care how straight you got your facts. I don't care how right you are. And if you're on the left, you're not going to get somebody on the right to join in with you just because you want them to feel the same way as you. They just don't feel the same way as you.
But like, what if we all felt like this the same way?
If
what if we all
and
had the
buts
same
were candies
feelings?
and nuts?
Yeah.
How much better would the world be if we
sky
just all had the
blue.
same feelings?
If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Right.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, could you look at what's happening right now with the spectrum of gender fluidness, right?
Oh my god.
So it's like if I'm a man, I could feel like I'm a woman, but now it's not just my feeling. Now you have to refer to me by my pronoun.
Exactly.
Now that's something
I'm a
completely
woman,
different.
but call me sir. Okay.
Well, that's
Sure,
the thing
sure.
too, man. There's some like pretty credible like clinical psychologists too, like Jordan Peterson. I study a lot of his work. You know, he's a clinical psychologist in Toronto for a very long time. I've read both of his books. Like,
I gotta bring my boy up, bro. Why you gotta bring up Jordan Peterson? Well, you can't do that, bro.
Well,
I love Jordan Peterson.
One thing that he did say, just while we're on the topic of discussion about like identity politics, like it's a very dangerous game, and he was very correct. I think with his like analysis and breakdown. Basically, like how I described how he broke it down. You dissect before you digest the information.
Correct.
You don't eat things before you know what's in it, correct? And that's the same thing with information that you're receiving. But the way that he broke it down too, it's like, it's no different from like in some of the books that he suggested, also in a lot of his different, just like psychology, like studies and speeches that he's given to different universities, etc. on his tours. One thing that he did say though is like some book recommendations was like the Gulag Archipelago written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Yeah.
I've been in the process of reading that for a very long time. It's a pretty hard read, I'm not gonna lie, because it just talks so much about like, the Soviet Union and what they were doing with the concentration camps and stuff.
Yeah.
And like they were based off of like identity politics.
Yes.
It was in like its own different like fascist way of like delegating that, but it's still like pretty like exact and replicating the same thing that you see in gender identity politics.
I'll tell you something right
specifically, not gender identity politics, but identity politics as a whole.
As a whole, yeah. Here's the thing, right? What's going on right now in America. See, you got people telling us that diversity is our strength. I completely disagree.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you'll hear that term, diversity is our strength. First of all, the people who say that do not celebrate diversity.
Right.
They do not accept diverse opinions. Let's just get that straight right now.
I don't celebrate that I'm biracial. I'm not like, oh yeah, I have like a black, white, brown day because I'm Mexican, white, and black. I'm not like, yeah, it's national.
Hey, you go to every parade, bro. You're invited to every barbecue.
National Butt Day, y'all. Here comes Bo Phillips. Like, no one's gonna celebrate that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is that when they start dissecting people into groups based on race or stuff like that, even class, it is such a futile process to go through because you're not going to appeal. Listen, I got a friend who's black and Muslim, and he will tell you just because you're Muslim doesn't mean you're my people, or just because you're black don't mean you're my people, right? Me and him have a lot more in common than I have with some of my Christian, Hispanic, white friends,
right.
and he has more in common with me than his other black Muslim friends because me and him have so many ideologies that we have that are aligned.
Right.
Our value system is aligned. Our world perspectives are aligned. But yet but if you were to just base it off of religion or race or sex or
gender,
right? Me and him would be almost totally opposite to someone who lives in a world of duality where everything's black and white.
Exactly.
But that's obviously not the case. That's my boy. I got so much in common with him that I don't have in common with other people who look like me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
No, and I can't honestly, I don't have any type of rebuttal or anything controversial to even say because I agree with everything you're saying. I wish I did have something to disagree with, but I don't because I've thought the same things. It's like when it comes to any type of identity politics, it's the reason why I personally think it's such a dangerous game too, is you don't know what's going to come up of it just because you agree on something that you can identify with that. But that has nothing to do with your core values as a person when it comes to your thoughts on education or your thoughts on things moral values either too. Just because I'm gender fluid with pansexual, et cetera, that has nothing to do with me as a person to the core of my being. All that says is I'm fluid and expressing myself to a very I guess a comfortable and brave and courageous degree, which is I can't discredit that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great that you want to do that too. But you can't generalize that as a whole and be that's the entirety of this person just because they're gender. You know what I mean? It's that's the thing.
It's where they're listen, man. If you want to identify as a freaking floor lamp, I don't care. You can identify as whatever you want. But to me, that to me should be the least interesting thing about
exactly.
you.
Yes.
I love having conversations with I tell you what, if you put me in a room with some raging liberal demi boy pansexual whatever, I don't even know what the hell that stuff means to me personally. But if you put me in a room with that person and we don't talk about that and we're more talking about books that we like and movies that we like and experiences we've had and I can relate to this person, the thing that whatever they identify gender wise or call themselves their pronouns, they're such at the lowest bottom of the fucking list of things.
Override who you are.
Right. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make that the main focus. And it's something I saw an interesting video not long ago. It was an old clip from an Arsenio Hall show. Remember Arsenio Hall?
Absolutely. Yeah, his talk show that he had back in the 90s.
Yeah, it was real popular. Arsenio, I loved Arsenio Hall. And so I saw this clip you guys can look it up on YouTube. So this was around the time when you started.
See when he went out into the audience and
Yeah, there was a group of gay rights activists that were there.
They were heckling him. He went out to the audience.
They interrupted his show. And he was like, "What's going on? What are you guys talking?" And they walked up and they're like, "Why don't you have more gay people on your show?" And I remember his response was, he said, "Well, how do you know? How do you know the people?" He said, "Look, a few weeks ago I had so-and-so on my show. They're gay. But, maybe that was not the one thing that they came here to talk. Maybe there's so much interesting things about them they wanted to talk about. We didn't sit and talk about who, them being gay. Why do you have to know that about them? Right, you're going to say because I don't bring them on here and exemplify that one thing about them that I'm not supporting them. Right, I don't care if they're gay. I support him. He's my friend. So why don't you just sit down? You know what I'm saying? But that idea of those people wanting to be disruptive, to act like it's virtue signaling.
Yeah,
it's virtue signaling. So. And back then when it happened, everyone just laughed at them. But you know what? Slowly and surely, that woke-tivism ideology is seeped into a lot of our fabric of our society. So now you have a lot of kids that, listen, man, they don't got hopes and dreams of the future. They're not building a business. There's no big war that we got to fight. There's something,
Exactly.
but people
They have to like
need-
shift their focus to somewhere else.
right.
Yeah.
So, but people inherently, humans need to have the feeling of achievement, of overcoming something. There has to be battles.
Yeah.
We're designed for it. So when we have lived in such a comfortable,
Necessary confrontation.
luxurious
Yeah.
setting for so long where nothing's going on, they got to create this battle in their minds. So what do? They become activists,
Yeah.
right? They become and they pick an issue. And it's like, it could be anything. Like you got the gender thing, you got the LGBTQAI++ community, you got whatever, Black Lives Matter, racial disparities, whatever your battle is. Pro-life, pro-choice, right? So people get activated, become activists on these subjects because honestly, there ain't nothing else more going on in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to find something. You got to go out and define your purpose. You got to go out and define your purpose. If you don't, somebody's going to come and define your purpose for you.
Yep.
And that's just, I don't think that that's fun.
Yeah. Nowadays too, especially like I know that there's so many different things going on with our country, for example, and I can only like relate mostly to this country. 'cause I
Hold
live
on,
in it.
I got a comment here. Mercedes said, "I'm Pan. Cheers to you."
Oh, cheers,
You know,
Mercedes, absolutely.
I heard someone the first time I
Cheers.
heard it. I didn't know what it meant. I was
Pansexual, yeah.
not involved in any of this stuff. I was a corporate trainer for DirecTV, and there was this really hot chick in the class next to mine that my other friend was training. And I would go in there and we would go kind of like introduce, meet each other in classes. Like she saw me and she was like kind of took a liking to me. So I remember,
Ooh.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, when you're like a trainer or something like like women, even men, like you're in a position of power, right, or authority, whatever. Yeah, and then that too, they hear me talk and they get all into it. So I was,
Sapiosexuals.
hey, she knows the
Yeah,
term for it.
sapiosexual.
She's
Yeah,
like, he must
weird.
have a huge medulla oblongata.
She must have a huge brain under that
For those that don't
skull.
know, like if you're a sapiosexual, that just means like you're sexually attracted to intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah, to the
Intellectuals. So I remember going out there and this girl was there and she was like kind of flirting with me, and out of nowhere she just offered the information. Out of nowhere she's like, well, this and that because I'm pansexual. I'm pansexual. And I'm looking at her and I'm just like, you fuck pans? What are you talking about? I'm like, that's cool, I guess. Like, whatever, I'm
You
down.
don't throw the pots and pans down the stairs to name your children. You fuck the pans and pots down the stairs.
I'm like, yo, in my mind, I'm like, this is new. Like, maybe I could get into this. I don't know.
There's like all kinds of shit going on. You're like pretty open to anything.
So
I don't play ping pong. I fuck the ping pong.
what is that on beer fest?
Wait, no,
it's like
that's-
I was playing ping pong and ding dang.
Yeah.
I'm a pot. Jacob's.
I'm a pot. Cheers
When
to
I eat a
the.
nug of weed.
Cheers
that's
to
what I say.
pansexuals.
It's all
I'm a
jokes. It's
pot.
all jokes.
It's all love.
Oh, man.
I don't really.